Only a few of you can go. Yes, that's it. Look at this, the history of Romania. Actually, Romania.
Despite what most people think, most likely.
How are you guys? Having a great day? It's 2 p.m. Not bad.
Ambassador of Latin countries in the East, cherished by adopted members of the Slavs, and influenced by three distinct empires in the past. Romania is one of the most specific countries in the world. It's known to everyone mostly due to a faint mixture of legend and reality. Yet Romania is both overlooked and underestimated as a destination to explore. However, our video will make you visit there as fast as gigabytes flow through the country or gigabats fly over it.
Really? Before reacting to Alexandra Capitanescu, I knew nothing about Romania. Like, absolutely nothing. Except Lucian Bute, the boxer, because I'm from Montreal originally, so he was fighting out of Montreal.
Romania, as it's called by its citizens, is the 12th largest country in Europe with 238,391 kilometers squared, putting it between UK and Belarus on the list. And if we look globally, it is 81st, sandwiched by Ghana and Laos. Yet, where it matters more, on the map, Romania is neighbored by Bulgaria to the south, then Serbia, Hungary, Ukraine and their younger sibling Moldova. All these borders came to a total of 3,195 kilometers.
How do you feel being surrounded by so many countries? At least you have access to the... I don't know what sea this is, but you have access to a body of water. I grew up in Canada, so I have only the US as my border. So I never went to Europe. I traveled quite a bit in Southeast Asia because I live in Thailand. But I have not had that experience to, like, growing up in Romania, being able to, like, know a lot of different culture from other area. Like, it was only, like, my little corner in Montreal, Canada, and that's it, you know?
Longest one being with Moldova at 681 kilometers. Romania also has a coastline of 245 kilometers with important Black Sea to the east. When it comes
Black Sea, I need to remind myself, it's the Black Sea, Black Sea, Black Sea, Black Sea. Sorry, I'm not too good with these kind of things.
To the population, Romania is 9th in Europe with 19,237,000 people, putting it above the so densely populated Netherlands. Although there is quite a big drop-off between 8th placed Poland and their somewhat opposites we're visiting now. Measured with all countries of the world, Romanians count to the 62nd spot to find their numbers below Kazakhstan and above Malawi. Down south sits the capital of Romania, which is called Bucharest. This is by far the most populated city with a bit of over 2 million people. Then we have a few major cities that all have about the same population of just over 300,000 people. There's Timisoara in the west, the central positioned Cluj-Napoca, and Iași in the northeast. And then, of course, Constanta, which sits...
So basically what I'm seeing here is that nothing is in the middle. It's all on the border of another country. Is there people living in the middle of the country? All the country that is naming, it's like it's going around like this, but it's not really going in the middle. Is that too many mountains or thing like this?
And Iași in the northeast. And then, of course, Constanta.
Yeah, so I think the green is going to be the mountain and the gray is going to be like more flat. So people live in the flatter part, which makes sense. Is that it?
Which sits right next to the Black Sea. Romania absolutely dominates.
Or maybe it's agriculture in the middle and there's a lot of people living in the, like, what they call the countryside.
It's the surroundings in terms of population, as it has around 2 times or way more citizens than all of the countries to its nearby south and west, plus Moldova. And a similar ratio applies to the territory. The only neighbor slapping them on the fingers here is Ukraine, which does to Romania what they do to their neighbors, dwarfing them in terms of population and landmass. And just earlier I mentioned Poland being the opposite of Romania, and what I mean by that is that Poland is a Slavic Catholic country, while Romania is a Latin yet Orthodox country. That's right, despite what most people think, most likely people who don't subscribe to Countries Explained, Romania is usually classified as a Slavic country by default, while it's not. So
I think Romania is known to be Orthodox because I think you don't follow the Pope, right? Is that it? I think that's the difference. I'm from a atheist Catholic country, Canada, so don't take my word for it. You know more than me, but I think that being Orthodox means that you don't really follow the Pope like as the supreme thing. It's more like each church or whatever, they work independently or something. Like they don't answer to someone a higher thing, like which is the Pope or the Vatican or whatever. Is that the difference? If so, I always thought that it was better to be independent. I don't know. I feel like you can adjust to your culture. You can adjust to things. It make you more flexible. You can be more modern if you want to. I don't know. To me, it makes sense, but maybe there's some drawback that I'm not aware of. You need to tell me.
If you don't want to make a fool out of yourself in the future, you better hit that subscribe button below, so we can teach you all about the countries of the world.
Ah,
The
this is
Romanian language also
That's-
hit that subscribe.
This is a real road in Romania. This look crazy. This look fake almost, but I'm guessing that it's real. I've seen similar road like this, like in Norway, right? In the Nordic, very far. But this is great.
Button below, so we can teach you all about the countries of the world. The Romanian language also falls into the category of Romance languages, alongside Portuguese, Spanish, Italian and French. There's also the Romanian language.
Bonjour tout le monde, comment ça va? Je m'appelle Maxime et j'ai du Québec au Canada. Le français c'est ma langue maternelle. French is my mother tongue, but it's French from Montreal, so it's not exactly the same French as the one that they speak in France. Si je parle français comme ça, tu vas reconnaître des mots, mais peut-être que tu ne reconnaîtras pas non plus, tu sais. I don't know if you understand anything. What I said now is, si je parle français, tu vas peut-être reconnaître des mots, mais peut-être pas non plus. That's what I just said, but now in more like normal French.
And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't think these languages descend from the same family, now would you? But I guess if we took a closer look at the name of the country, we can see that the clue was kind of in front of us all along.
Romain.
Although being the island that it is in the Slavic Sea of countries did have its effects. And for instance, the Romanian word for yes is the same one that the Russians, Serbs, Bulgarians and others use, which is da. But
Da.
it's even harder to define Romania in much more tangible matters than language, like geographical placement, as it finds itself at the end of Central Europe, the edge of
In Montreal, where I'm from, we say duh when something is obvious. Like, oh, you change your hair color, duh. It's not really yes, more like of course, but we say that in French where I'm from.
the Balkan Peninsula, and not quite in the far east of Europe. From these three directions came the empires that marked the Romanian culture and influenced the crafting of such a unique blend: the Austro-Hungarians, the Ottomans and the Russians. And even now, the country's status is a bit hard to detail, as it finds itself in the European Union, but not in the Schengen zone of passport-free movement. The euro, which we know, isn't the official currency of the country, even though it joined the organization in 2007. The Romanian leu still changes hands, and if we were to exchange this currency for the euro, we get about 0.2 euros for 1 leu.
Wow.
1 leu, on the other hand, consists of 100 bani. It's proving hard for the Romanians to tear away from their lions, which is the meaning of leu, although the banknotes being made of plastic might have something to do with it. Zoomed in within its spacious borders, Romania is easier to describe. Dominated by the Carpathian mountain range, the third
Wow.
longest in Europe with a stretch of 1500 kilometers, which kind of splits the land in half. In this huge mountain range, we also find the highest point in the country, the Moldovani Peak, sitting 2,544 meters above sea level. The Apusini, meaning west, mountains put the finishing dot on this mountain chain. A temperate continental climate rules the land, with summer temperatures peaking at around 30 degrees Celsius. The country also has a nice mix of landscapes with the already mentioned mountains, but also fertile green fields in the south and a mixture of hills.
Wow, peaking at 30 Celsius. She distract me. 30 Celsius, the peak? It's hotter than this in Canada during summer, where I'm from. It can get to like 35 plus. So I'm kind of surprised. In our winter, get to like minus 35 also. So it get colder, it get hotter. So we have more extreme temperature in Canada like than in Romania, which kind of surprising. I thought that your summer were hotter than this. Like in Italy, I would guess it's hotter maybe in Greece. I'm not sure. This is so beautiful. I never know that, by the way, before reacting to Romania, how beautiful it was. Living there is the dream. My dream. My and Suji dream, because we have 12 dogs. And
grassland and swamps in the east. But arguably the second most defining geographical feature of Romania, after the Carpathian Mountains, is Europe's second longest river, the Danube. About 40% or 1,075 kilometers of this mighty river flows either through or adjacent to Romanian territory.
Wow.
And Romania's landscape has a huge part in contributing to this river, as 98% of Romania's rivers spring from the Carpathian Mountains.
No
And all
way.
of them, directly or indirectly, end up being tributes to the Danube. But something maybe even more remarkable than the river itself, or at least very impressive, is the Gondor-like statue the Romanians have carved onto the stone of the riverbank to honor the last king of Dacia. No, not the car company, but Deceval, the last king of Dacia who fought the Roman emperors to preserve the independence of his country. And it is safe to say
my
that this river
God.
has had great meaning to Romania over the years, serving as a natural border almost entirely towards Bulgaria, considerably with Serbia, and the tiniest bit with Moldova, and then with Ukraine. Romania has gained more from the Danube than even John Strauss.
Wow.
And if you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, Strauss wrote one of his most famous waltzes inspired by the Danube in his piece The Blue Danube.
Oh, this song.
But even these days, the Danube plays a vital role for Romania, especially due to the Constanta port, the largest one
Damn.
on the Black Sea.
Is that all foggy around the Black Sea? This remind me of Thailand. When they burn during burning season, like from like January to like March, it's gonna be there because the farmer they burn all their crops and the sky look like this, literally.
Serving
Everywhere.
as a gateway between the east and the west. From here, about 74% of Romania's exports go up the stream to the EU countries. And speaking about exports, Romania's economy is helped a lot by being the fourth largest producer of oil in the European Union
Oh, really?
and the largest natural gas producer. The economy is also driven by the car manufacturer Dacia, which is the country's biggest company in terms of revenue and accounted for 8% of the country's total exports. It's now owned by Renault, and the company's only factory is located in the small town of Mioveni, in the Argeș county, which is one of 41 administrative units in Romania. Yet, historically, the country is divided into three main territories. First, there's Wallachia in the fertile south. Then in the northwest we have Transylvania. And I know you've been waiting for this, haven't you? Well, keep waiting, I'm covering the myths in just a bit. And then finally we have Moldavia in the northeast. And no, we didn't forcefully unite the two siblings. You see, the country is called Moldova in English and the region Moldavia. These parts were quite populated in the 1st century BC when the kingdom of Dacia united. And which the
I think they speak Romanian also in Moldova, right? I don't quite know the story of why it was divided and things like this, because I feel like people in Moldova, they really love people in Romania. And usually people that have an history like this of sharing like Serbia with Croatia, for example, the country that have an history of like separating like this, usually they hate each other, right? But you guys seem to love each other. So I wonder why you were separated to begin with. And I was going to say about the oil. It's kind of fort. I feel like a lot of people are, in my comment, are not happy with the current situation in Romania. So I'm wondering where the money go, you know? Like, what happened with your tax dollar? That's a problem also in Thailand and Canada. That's why I left Canada. I didn't like where my country was going. I left in 2015. So I'm an immigrant. And I'm wondering, like, how you guys feel about your country these days.
earlier mentioned King Deceval resisted the Romans in the 1st century AD. Yet the empire couldn't be denied, and in the 2nd century founded the province of Roma Dacia across Transylvania. This combination of Roman and Dacian cultures marks the beginning of the Romanians' ethnogenesis. After all, the country is named after the local name for Roman or Rome, hence the Latin connection. Even though the majority of today's country wasn't under Roman rule for long, the area became the staging route for tribes of Goths, Gepids, Avars, Slavs and Huns coming in to loot, pillage, rule and migrate. Since the
I have no idea about this, but it's quite fascinating because all the countries surrounding them, none of them are Romance language. Because I guess that the Roman Empire didn't go there or something, I'm not sure. But I need to react to a full video that explain why Romania is the Romance language. Romania is so far away from France, like Spain and things like this. I need to understand the full context, like Asterix and Obelix. I read a lot of Asterix and Obelix growing up, but Romania never came up. Maybe it came from another, maybe there was another name for Romania back then, but the name Romania never came up in any of the the comic book that I was reading, I read all the Obelix and Asterix. So I read a whole lot about the Roman Empire. I forgot everything. But I need to refresh my mind. I need a video about that. The Roman Empire, Romania, etc. If you can suggest me something, yeah.
Late 9th century, Magyars, which is the Hungarians, entered the phrase and stayed in it well until today. Saxon and Settlers are settled by the King of Hungary in the 12th century, with the latter still relevant, live and kicking, even though you most likely haven't heard of them. In the 13th century, the mentioned territories of Wallachia, Moldavia and Transylvania are established, with the latter being subjugated under Magyar rule, briefly uniting freely under Michael the Brave at the start of the 7th century. Yet
Michael
his
the
fame
Brave.
is in the dark shadows of a far more globally known figure, Vlad III of Wallachia, Vlad the Impaler. A ruler so ruthless, he served as an inspiration for the mythical figure of Dracula, with his father's
Yes.
title, Dracul, meaning dragon, played a role. And even though he was from Wallachia,
Dracul mean dragon. Huh. I didn't know I was gonna learn something today. Dracul without the A at the end. It means dragon in Romanian, right? That's what he just said? Huh. Interesting.
Transylvania is eternally connected to the vampire lore. But Romania too as a whole has this mythical aura over it. Although Romanians shouldn't really fret at all. Sure, there are these stories, if it is stories, you tell me, but they also do have a much nicer tradition for the afterlife, like the Mary Cemetery. The famous place is known for these brightly colored
Wow.
tombstones. And also because they do, and I'm not lying now, have a tax for black magic. So,
What?
Romania is not the place to live if you're a witch, apparently. Moving back to... So, because they do,
A tax for black magic. Wait. What does it mean? Does it mean that if you want to become a mind reader, like those people that read the card and stuff like this, you need to pay an extra tax to the government? I have no clue what he just said. That doesn't make any sense. Or if you pretend to do black magic and you offer your service for anything, like the people that pretend like they can talk to the dead people, if you pretend like this is your job, you can do it, but you pay an extra tax. I'm so confused. This is pretty, by the way. Cemetery always looks scary and all, but having it like this, especially for children that want to visit, I feel like it's really nicely put like this. Really nice. I've never seen anything like this, by the way.
and I'm not lying now, have a tax for black magic. So, Romania is not the place to live if you're a witch, apparently. Moving back to completely real history, the Ottoman, Habsburg and Russian empires started fighting and ruling over parts of Romania through the Middle Ages. All until Alexandru Luam Cuza is proclaimed prince of both Moldavia and Wallachia, which unite as Romania in 1862. Rejoined by the more famed Transylvania after World War I and fought on the sides of the Allies. In World War II, Romania first joined the Axis side, then changed sides as the Soviets were winning in 1944. Nicolae Ceausescu became the leader and the infamous dictator of the new socialist country of the Warsaw Pact, leaving behind a rare impressive legacy of the placement of the parliament, the heaviest building.
I read that in the 60s, when you guys started like to be communist, everything was prosperous. It was nice. Until this guy that you just named took power. Everything went downhill after that. But apparently because of that, there's like a mixed reaction in Romania toward communism, socialists, because I'm consider myself a socialist by heart. I think that's much better than capitalism. I'm not gonna go into detail. And I'm not like crazy like Soviet Union, whatever that. I mean, I feel like socialists and capitalists historically have failed pretty much everywhere. But when you look at Norway, when you look at Denmark, that are mixed economy, or even China right now, that put a lot of people out of poverty, they did it with a mixed economy that is not like 100% capitalistic. There's a lot of socialistic element to it, and this is what I believe in. Way more than brute force economic capitalist that I think doesn't work. It doesn't work in America, so it's not going to work anywhere else. That's just what I think. If it was working, people in Romania and in Poland and everywhere else, they would be happy. But right now, everyone blames the immigrant for everything instead of blaming the structure in place that make everything difficult for everyone.
In the world, before his demise in 1989 and the revolution. Another, perhaps more positive thing if you're into sports, came in the socialist years when the football club Steaua became the first Eastern European club ever to win the Champions Cup title. Continuing
Wow.
on the sports side of things, the country has had a big legacy in gymnastics with Nadia Comaneci as the big front figure. She won a total of 9 Olympic medals, more than any other Romanian female.
And in Montreal, everyone know her story because I'm from Montreal. She's the first ever to get a 10, like the perfect score. She got 10, 10, 10, and the scoreboard was broken or something because they didn't know how to give 10. But she got 10 points out of 10. She perfect score, and she was a teenager back then, which is like common for the gymnast. And yeah, she's extremely famous even to this day in Canada. Like, I'm born in 86 and I know her really well. So I feel like everyone know her in Canada. Even young people these days know her because of the aura about that Olympic that we had in Montreal. Oh, les enfants. Hey, come on, les enfants. Okay, well, I'm going to continue.
Today, however,
Almost
the
finished.
tennis player Simona Halep is perhaps the country's biggest sports star with a couple of Grand
Oh, wow, this is an old video. She got banned for doping and then she came back. There's a few decent tennis players from Romania these days. But she was good. She was former number 1.
Slams titles under her belt.
I think, right?
In entertainment, it's the Marvel star Bucky Barnes or the Winter Soldier played by Sebastian Stan, who might be the biggest star the country has right now. Well, him and of course
Sebastian
the electronic
Stan.
music hitmaker Ina. It is safe to say that Romania is very interesting, and that a video of a couple of minutes or a weekly tour would not do it justice. Luckily,
Nice.
moving to this unique place might be a great option, because underneath the castles run the third fastest internet network in Europe, and it has been for the
Wow.
longest time the
I wonder if it's faster than Thailand. Thailand is known for having crazy fast internet. Something that you guys don't know before arriving to Thailand. I thought that Thailand was like, you know, third world country, like what you see in these African documentary in the jungle. But Thailand is so modern, guys. It's modern like most country in Europe. That's what people don't know because you watch television, you watch Romania, you think, oh, Romania is like influenced by Russia. It's probably super poor. No, it's people are living good. Like people have a good house, people have cars. You know, I came to Thailand. I thought that was gonna be very different, but healthcare in Thailand is as good as Canada. So it's like, yeah, you know, if you have an injury or something, they can fix anything in Thailand. Like, so it's kind of a shock when you travel in countries that have received a very bad press on television. So that's why when I started to react to these Romanian video, it's not that I didn't knew that it was going to be different, but because it's not France, it's not Spain, it's not Portugal, it's not the UK, you're like, oh, is it going to be like weird house, poor? No, it's not. This is just like in the brain of watching too much like television growing up, you know?
leader of speed on the old continent. But if fast internet, interesting history and fascinating myths isn't enough, here's another reason for settling down permanently in Romania. They actually lead the home ownership rate globally, so renting battles aren't as fierce here. So from gigabytes to gigabits,
Wow.
hopefully you learn something about
3 years ago. Yeah, so was it during Simona Halep ban or just before or after? She did really well. She had a nice career. There, Bianca Andreescu, she's from Canada, but I think she's originally from Romania. That is a Romanian tennis player that I know now because she's represent Canada, and I'm sure there's more right now. Simona Cirstea also, that I'm thinking the woman. I'm trying to think of men. I think the women are particularly good from that area of the world, right? Poland and all of that area. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Please suggest us more video from Romania. My wife loves history like this, so if there's more like this, the one with the Roman Empire, my wife would probably react with me, yes.